My background is I'm Amit. I'm CEO and co-founder of this company, Girnarsoft, which runs cardeko.com, which is one of the largest auto portals in India. Me, as far as I go, basically I'm more engineering brain behind the company and the product brain behind the company. I graduated from IIT Delhi in '99. After, as any IITian would do, I went into a programming job and learned a lot of skills on how to develop code yourself products, and went into a great company which taught me a lot of product management and building B2C products, and realized the importance of how you have to get consumers onto your product to make a B2C product successful. And that's what my journey was. My brother Anurag also went to IIT Delhi, and we practically have spent life in parallel together. We lived in the same house, went to the same college, IIT Delhi. Then our jobs were also in similar cities. Austin, I was in Austin, Texas. He was in Dallas, very close by. And then we both moved to Bangalore. So we practically spent our life together. And both brothers share a great, camaraderie. So me and Anurag had been thinking about this startup for like good 4 years before we actually started up. And as you grow in your career after it, salaries keep on increasing. The risk of leaving a job becomes higher and higher. The bug had bitten a long back, but it took us a while to actually really start on it. And strange situation of circumstances got us back to Jaipur, and me and Anurag basically at that point started the software company Girnarsoft. Girnarsoft, obviously we had started a company and we had no salaries at all. This company literally started in the garage of our house, and we basically were sitting together thinking through how we are going to scale this up. The big thing that we did that day was when we formed the company, which was in 2007, we updated our LinkedIn profiles to say we'll build $1 billion company, and we really did not know how we would build it, but we just believed that we'll build $1 billion company. And that was one positive thing, that we were thinking big at least, and our friends were laughing at us obviously, and two boys sitting in a garage, how can they build such a large company? But me and Anurag definitely believed, and that's how the journey began, with humble grounds. And when you start an office in your garage, you have to broom your office, you have to clean your office, and we have been the office boys, we have been the guys who basically did everything to basically make the two ends meet. Luckily started getting some projects, outsourcing projects from America. The company started to grow. Two of us became around 30-40 of us by the year end. Company was profitable, we were happy about it. 2008 again was a profitable year for the company, and we grew to like a size of 100. And every year we were doubling it down, and we were happy with the progress. By 2009 we had funds in the bank to start investing in our products. That's when we started our product business, which was Cardeko was started, and then multiple other sites were started. So people do hear the glory of Cardeko, but there are like 9-10 failures behind this startup Cardeko, which we have started and which did not really work out. But the good part was every single failure was teaching us a lot of character on how not to fail. And startups are all about a lot of failures and few successes, frankly. And the journey is more important. We were enjoying the journey. Me and Anurag were, just having a gala time, enjoying all these failures, enjoying the successes we were, getting. The best part was we were running it profitably, and that was the key part. Anurag had basically, focused on the services business that generated the cash that I needed to run products. And that was a great fine balance between two brothers, one earning, one burning. I was a burner, he was a earner. And as we progressed in the whole journey, all the startups, frankly, what we did in our company were around our core skills or passion that we have had. We started cars because we both love cars. We went to Auto Expo in 2008 and realized, what I saw in Expo of 2008 was not available online. And that's where we identified a gap, and both of us love driving fast. And living life on the fast lane, loving cars, we thought, it's nothing better. Let's start a portal that talks about cars the way we like to hear, and build something for ourselves. And we never thought this would grow this big at that point. We were betting on like 8-10 products at that point. And finally we zeroed into Cardeko in 2011 that this should be the primary focus of the company. But between 8 to 11 we have tried multiple things, frankly, and a lot of things have failed. So failure is welcome in our company, and that's what we have built a culture of. If you fail, great to fail, just don't fail the same way again. That's what we learned in our career while building this out. So Cardeko basically started, we collected all the brochures in Expo that time, and then we came back and put a data entry guy who just translated these brochures into Excel file, and then we imported it into a database. I personally wrote the code along with a bunch of freshers in the company. So team of 4-5 basically launched Car Dekho in like 1.5 months. The good thing about our company is we are like really agile when it comes to building technology, building products, and that's what I've learned. If you have to fail fast. You just can't waste a lot of time failing. If you fail fast, that means that your startup is going to succeed, because you'll learn one more new way to fail. And we never built a perfect product, frankly. We just kept on launching half-baked cakes just to experiment what consumers like, what consumers don't, because we never had that much cash to build that perfect product and go out in the market after a year. And honestly, I think that approach works very, very well for startups, when you basically are building it incrementally and building it fast, because that gives you market feedback much faster. Instead of you realizing a year later nobody wants to use your product, realize it today. And bank on those 1 or 2 big features that you think are the really killer ones. Forget the other ones. Don't waste your time building those. That's what we realized. That's why we were able to launch so many and kill so many at the right time, because we realized this is not going to work. This model is not going to work. So that's how the evolution of Car Dekho began. 11 was when we actually zeroed into Car Dekho, because it had gained a lot of traction. Consumers were loving the product. We have a huge amount of traffic. And we started building business models around how do we monetize traffic. Fundamentally, as a company, we are more of a product technology company which loves to give consumer experience, and we believe that as we give this consumer experience and consumers start loving you, at that point you can start evolving a business model around it. So our focus was always on building a great product. We never thought of how will we monetize this to start with. But as we grew the consumer experience, we realized there are so many offline and online integration points where monetization is also possible along with consumer value. So in the whole company, the DNA has been about providing consumers some value. If we are able to provide value to the consumer, we believe that you'll be able to build a large business. And that's what the company has been focused for all these years. Now Car Dekho has come a long way. We are a 2,800 people company, a startup that started in garage of our house. And we are proud to say we are delivering consumer promises, and there's a long way to go, frankly. We are building a lot of innovation in the product, working on augmented reality, trying to do augmented reality manuals, virtual showrooms, so that we can provide experience that is unheard of when it comes to car buying. Connecting dealer and consumer, making the buying process hassle free, be it insurance, finance, the other things that are also associated in car buying. We're trying to work on that. And not only that, when you drive a car home, we're trying to work on the car ownership piece, so that you have a very happy experience of owning a car, be it buying car accessories, or getting an insurance renewal done, or changing your battery styles. We're trying to work upon an ecosystem for our consumers, because we realize it's not just about buying. The consumer is on a high when he buys a car, because that's his first buy. But as he moves on in the journey, the love kind of depletes. He washes his car the first few weeks, and then he doesn't even care about his car after a few months. And that love we have to retain, and we are trying to build a product around that, basically. And car ownership is going to be a very important key focus area for the business as we move on from here. The first and easiest monetization was the ad sales, because the site has ads. We were using Google AdSense initially. And as our site gained traffic, the ComScore rank is seen by all the manufacturer and agencies. They saw suddenly Car Dekho was topping the ComScore chart. And at that point, they decided to call us and ask for rates, how much would you sell the inventory for. And when we received the first call, we did not even know what rates to pitch, because we had never sold it before. And we said, at what rate do you want to buy? And I remember that first funny sale, we have no clues on what to sell. They offered a rate, we haggled a bit to make it like a 10-20 buck higher. And later we realized we had a rip-off at that point. But the good part was the sale began. Then we of course hired some experienced people from industry to head our sales, and that's what helped, getting some people from the industry, combining it with the current traffic that you had built to start monetizing. The media sales was the first lowest hanging fruit that we actually plugged, and that generated a lot of cash flow, which we were able to invest back into the product, frankly. Second obvious logical thing was selling leads. So we started selling leads to the dealers in 2011 and 2012 beginning, and that was the first time we decided to sell it. What we realized was consumer would come to our portal. It actually was not a need of dealer or monetization that we started selling leads for. We actually saw that consumer really wanted to connect with the dealer, and the whole research process gets broken on our portal. After research, what next? I want to talk to the dealer, where's the dealer? And when we went to these dealers, they themselves asked us, how much would you charge us? Wow, this can monetize also, the opportunity lies. And that's how the first sale happened. So initially we tied up in a model with dealers, where we would do a cost per sale model. So if we give you a lead, you sell a car, you pay me. And that's how the whole model started. We realized this model had a lot of flaws. We could not track when the consumer actually bought a car. Then we migrated it to a lead model. So consumer now opts in that he wants to talk to a dealer, and we basically pass his information when he opts in to the dealer, and that's how we monetize. This model has grown by a fold, in these last few years. A huge thing has happened. Other important, I think, point of monetization was the used car dealers, which we figured out even a year later. We started selling. We had a good traction on used car section of our portal, where we were showing dealer inventory, and any consumer could buy a car. Imagine if you want to buy, say, a red Maruti Swift in Delhi, how much inventory can you see running after all these dealerships? What we did was we aggregated the whole inventory, took pictures of every single car available at dealerships in the country, and put it online. Now from a consumer perspective, this was like super awesome, because now he could at one place find all the cars available in that particular color, make, brand, year, kilometer driven. Whatever filters you want to put, you could actually search the right car. And dealers were paying us money as a subscription fee for displaying their inventory on a portal, because they were getting leads and they were selling cars on those leads. So that's how the used car model evolved. In the whole process, we acquired a company called Gaadi.com. Gaadi.com also had evolved a great product stack when it came to used cars. That bolstered, or that was another inflection point, I would say, for the used car business, that expedited the whole growth into a much larger scale. We got a great founder, Umang, in that. So the founder of Gaadi.com joined us, and he now heads the Auto India business for us. He basically created this used car ecosystem. I was the new car ecosystem guy, and combination of both actually was another inflection point for the company, frankly. Car Dekho right now is able to garner roughly around 35 million visits a month. We by far are the market leader when it comes to revenue, when it comes to number of visits. There are obviously healthy competition available, which keeps us on our heels to innovate further. And I love competition because of that, because that helps to get the best out of us. We have to be like always technologically and product wise ahead of the competition, and make the chase much harder, much faster. That's what we do. We basically are a company of innovation, and every week, every quarter, we are just innovating new things that basically improves the consumer experience. What we have realized is that the industry is large enough to accommodate multiple players, number one. Number two, we think that the space in itself, the segment potential is so large in India, and it's not about just our industry, frankly. It's all about the e-commerce industry. Pick up any industry. The sheer population of country is so huge that the opportunity available for anybody is so insane. I completely believe there will be so many multi-billion-dollar companies originating out of this era that we are sitting in, and that too not in far in future. And by 2020, you'll start seeing all these companies go IPO, have a multi-billion valuation, and that's exactly what we are hoping for also. What gives us a strength of believing that we are going to win the battle is the very fact that we have built a fundamentally sound product, and product that consumers love. Consumers love to research here. Consumers get some great content. We have launched such good features. We have actually invested a lot in our product, and that's what gives me the confidence. Regarding the business models, obviously since car is a high GMV value item, automatically the kind of monetization that is possible while selling the car and after owning the car is huge. While you ease up the consumer journey, you are actually creating a win-win situation for both dealers and consumers, and you're never charging the consumer. That's why I believe that since you're never charging the consumer, you will be able to build a profitable model out, because the person who's selling the car finally is actually making a decent amount of money, and you're just taking a very small pie of that wallet. So this world over has evolved into a very large industry. Like if you talk about America, there's Auto Trader, which is like valued at $10 billion, or $1.8 billion in revenue. Pick up Australia, they are like 1/3 in new car sales in India, and the largest auto portal is worth like a $2 billion. So I completely believe India will see a much larger entity cropping up, anywhere between 5 to 10 billion in the next 5 to 10 years, frankly. India does take a little bit more time in terms of monetization, because the people of India are yet to adopt digital in that big way, but that evolution is already happening. Imagine 3-4 years back how many people would order online, and look at it now. India is changing fast. The game has been changed by mobile. We have put in a lot of focus on mobile technologies. A big team has been put behind how we can evolve and innovate on mobile. Mobile and internet combined created a world of difference. Now 70% of people at Car Dekho are coming through mobile devices. Clearly world is changing fast and India is changing faster, frankly. Mobile is not the future, mobile is now, and we believe it completely. I think all these pivots basically have helped us, build a sustainable business. The inflection point also was the change in traffic through mobile devices. As the smartphones became commodities and became cheaper, the traffic suddenly increased and surged like through the roof. That I think was another, a big inflection point. We believe we are building a fundamentally sound model because, we are unit economics positive. When we acquire a consumer, we do not spend on marketing money more than the amount we monetize. And most of our traffic is in any case, organic. And that's the part I'm proud of, frankly, that you are able to basically build a sustainable business out there. The biggest differentiator that our company had was we focused more on innovation of the product and technology and content, so that the traffic that came to us was coming without spending money. While competitors were focusing on marketing and doing all the online ads, etc., we never had the money or the luxury to do it. That forced us into doing innovative things to get traffic, and becoming number one in traffic without spending money was the biggest achievement in my opinion. That's what gives us that confidence that we'll be able to build a business much larger, and that too in a profitable fashion, because for each transaction we don't lose money ever. And that's what I think every entrepreneur in India should focus on. If your idea is to just seek an investment, don't do it, build a true business. And that's what we have worked upon. We have built a true business. We never thought of even picking up investment. For example, from 2007 to 2013 we never took up any external money, and that's what helped us scale in a profitable fashion, innovate even further. Money spoils the innovation, because as you have more money, you just stop innovating and your focus, key focus areas change. My advice to any entrepreneur in India obviously would be to don't pick the money until you really need it. If money is being picked up for scale, it's great, but if you're picking up money for sustaining, that's something that I would not be advising you at all. We did very well on the social media and the search engine optimization part of it. We were producing great content that Google loved and the consumers loved. In social media also we were able to use Facebook and other mediums very effectively. At that point Orkut also used to exist. We used Orkut also at that point. I think we have just been very innovative in terms of trying to use all the social media and the organic ways, producing great content, doing tie-up with so many people, providing them auto content to build a brand. We used to provide content to Rediff and Siffy and so everybody, right? Because you don't have money, you can just provide free content and they publish your content and your brand gets established. And slowly the brand was getting percolated within the consumers. The whole, trust me, I did not spend a single rupee till 2013 November. Until I got the first funding, we had never even spent a single dollar on advertisement in our lives. Our advertisement money was our team. Our advertisement money was our content. Our advertisement money was our product. So we focus on building the basics right, so that we don't have to spend money on marketing to get the consumer. Rather build a great product, great content, use all the social signals, optimize your page better to make it better discoverable. Use the technology advantage to your advantage to ensure that you're able to get consumers. Google loves search friendly site. We introduced all these sitemaps, all the schemas well in advance of the competition, so that the Google search engine is able to crawl our site better, which obviously was working in our advantage. And there was so many small innovations we kept on doing, following what Google algorithm wanted in terms of discoverability of content. So we basically implemented it much ahead of competition. I think that really helped in those days. Now we have of course become a household brand name, and people love this. Lot of direct traffic. Our app is most used app in the country when it comes to our sector, having over 2 million downloads. I think I'm proud of our product and technology that we have built, and of course the business that we are building around it. Now that we've got a great amount of traffic, there's such an insane energy in the company to build big businesses around, and everybody is dreaming big, and everybody is talking about how his business will be $1 billion business. We got too many businesses talking about the same. And I of course wish everybody has his dream true, and the whole company evolves to be a multi-billion dollar organization. And that's what I'm aiming for. Girnar as a company is not just cars in India. So we're going global. It's a global company. We have already launched in Asia Pacific, for example. We are out there in Indonesia, we are in Philippines, Vietnam, Malaysia, Thailand. Next would be another maybe Middle East or Latin America evaluating, but Southeast Asia, we are already in there. It's going to be a global company. We have realized that markets are so similar, the emerging markets. And the proud part to me is that a Make in India company going global with the product that was built in India. And it's a far superior product available in even foreign markets, frankly. And I would love to see it, scale up in the international markets. We are also, betting on bikes. It's not just cars. So we launched bikes in emerging markets because, unlike evolved markets, bikes in emerging markets is a very, very popular thing. It can be even big market, frankly. So we are also working on the bikes category in both India as well as the Southeast Asian market. We also are investing into education through collegedekho.com. So look, the startup bug never dies. You just keep on evolving your business, trying new things out there, trying new verticals, domains. I don't know which one will work, frankly. After failing 9 and 10th was Car Dekho, so I completely know that I have to sow 10 seeds today to build that multi-billion-dollar organization. I aim to build a $10 billion organization. How long it will take, I don't know, but I'll enjoy the journey, that I know for sure. Every day is fun. I get up and rush to office. I just love being here. The kind of energy and the pulse of this company is insane. I just love it here. Other than that, obviously, we are getting into associated auto businesses. Associated would mean getting into car accessories, being a platform, give the right side of accessories to our consumers. We're getting into insurance, we're getting into finance, we're getting into warranty of used cars, we are getting into roadside assistance. So anything that you have to do after owning a car, say a tire or a battery change, we are getting into everything that will touch your life if you own a car. And that's what we're all about. I think this company has a long way to go from here. It's just a beginning, as I always say. Every year I think it's a beginning. And every year we grow double. And this year also we doubled up in strength, we doubled up in revenues. I think it's an exciting phase for us, frankly. Loving it. Entrepreneurial ecosystem in India is far evolved than what it used to be when I and Anurag started, frankly. When we started, startups were not something that parents would love their kids to be in, because that was not the trend. Jobs were the trend, being in high-paying jobs after IIT or engineering. Now I see young kids fresh out of IITs, fresh out of MBAs, or fresh out of local engineering colleges starting up. This is what is going to change India. I completely believe all the funding news, all the glory given, has obviously created this buzz about startups. And the good part is we are attracting as an economy foreign money also, which helps India as a whole, honestly speaking. Companies like ours that are able to scale up even further also are able to offer great employment opportunities and redistribute the whole ecosystem of economics, right, and contribute to the Indian economy. Even these startups, the people, the kids who are trying out their startups, are buzzing with energy. When I meet them, I feel so positive about how India has changed. How I used to be such a scared guy, looking for a job, and now how fearless these kids are. Ecosystem has certainly changed. Loving the change. The business fundamentals obviously will be proven over the time, but it won't matter whether you succeed or fail. The very fact that you tried will be a memory that each entrepreneur will live through all his life. And the very fact that he'll grow up, telling his kids that, I did try and, I was an entrepreneur. Look, irrespective of whether you fail or succeed, frankly, there are few things that you learn as an entrepreneur. You learn decision making, and that will help all your life, because every day is a decision making day. As an entrepreneur, as a small entrepreneur, you have to decide which laptop to buy. As a big entrepreneur, you have some other decisions to make. But it doesn't matter what scale of entrepreneurship you are doing, you have to take decisions, every single day. And that's what entrepreneurs are all about. They're also, and startup entrepreneurs are also about how to best utilize their money. The value for money concept comes so good. I used to work for MNC, and then I started my own company. I realized how differently I was approaching the decision making. When you have little cash in the bank, and you have to run a company, you approach it in a completely different fashion. The things that you thought were obviously should be there available for an employee, and you were thinking on the other side of table, thinking how do I get the money for this? Let's cut on this, and I could see a fundamental change in how I perceived value for money, frankly. And it was a very humbling experience. When you represent larger companies, everything is a given. You're representing a brand. Suddenly when you're running your own company, there's no brand. You're the only guy who's a brand. Selling your vision is not that easy. Convincing other people to join you, and you become a great sales guy in the process, because you're selling your vision every day. Every single day you're talking to investors, you're talking to people to hire, you're talking about creating that founding team, you're selling yourself every single day. So entrepreneurship is gonna create, the people in India will be far more confident in what they were. It does not matter whether they succeed or fail. Overall, as the economy, I think it's good for economy, because so much wealth is gonna be created for so many people. Because as you understand, it's not about the founder making wealth for himself. Actually, there are ESOPs and so many people joining hands. A lot of wealth gets redistributed, which I'm also proud of, because as an ecosystem, the whole country is becoming wealthier and creating value. I think there's a long way to go still, but you will see. I believe a 2020 kind of a era would actually show how much wealth will be generated out of all these startups that are being generated today, created today. And I'm so bullish about the whole sector, frankly. It's not just about our auto sector. Every single sector, given the sheer size of population of India, there's so much opportunity available, and there's so many new startups that are waiting to emerge bigger. So many startups last 2 years have scaled up, frankly. So many investors are being bullish about what India is producing, and I completely believe that there's so many more to come. It's just a glimpse of what's happening in the era to come again. Just wait for that. I'm very proud of India right now.